Welcome, welcome, wherever you are. I'm thrilled that we are getting together today for the first event in a short series of creative conversations that we're hosting as part of this year's 6th edition of Ideas World Cup. Today, I'm joined by the founder of the Ideas World Cup and the company behind, which is Actitud Creativa, my friend and partner, Juan Prego. Hi, Juan. How are you?
Everything is great. Thank you.
Everything is great. Fantastic. We're also joined by our main sponsor and good friend, Alison James from the BIC Foundation. Hi, Alison. Welcome.
Hi, nice to see you again, Mark. How are you all?
Very good. We're thrilled that you're with us. And today we're also joined by our first creative conversationalist, Dr. Kulem Hebe, who's an incredible innovator, inspirator, teacher, author, speaker, renowned woman in business. I believe you got an award in 2020, and has worked for the last 10 years and more in the space of spreading the power of ideation and innovation to all types of clients around the world. Kulem also is part of several different global teams, including No Innovation and Inclusive Innovation, with a mission of really spreading the power of creative thinking into places where it perhaps doesn't often happen, including scientific African leadership, which is a really fascinating convergence of different types of thinking through the funnel of igniting collective imagination. So we're thrilled to have you join us today, Dr. Kulem. How are you?
I am very well, thank you, Mike. I'm very inspired and blessed this afternoon from South Africa.
Awesome. So before we kick off with the creative conversation with Kulem and myself, I just wanted to invite Alison to just perhaps kick us off. I know that some people are with us hopefully from our opening event last week, but for those that have not met Alison, I think it's a great opportunity to learn. Why did you decide to join Ideas World Cup? Tell us a little bit about the BIC Foundation, the work that you do, and a little bit about this thing called the CCOP. What's that all about? Can you give us a few minutes?
Sure, yes. Thanks, Mark. Well, the BIC Foundation is a not-for-profit philanthropic arm of the BIC Group. I'm sure many of you know the BIC products, our pens, shavers, lighters, and we're very much focused on providing access to quality education for all, with a focus on funding programs with not-for-profits all around the world, with a particular focus on creativity. So Ideas World Cup is an amazing event. And we're very, very pleased to be sponsoring the 6th edition of Ideas World Cup. And we're absolutely honored to be having the opportunity to focus the conversation all about creativity in education. As we talked, for those of you who heard us on the opening ceremony, we are also, as part of the work we're doing with the BIC Foundation, we're creating a global creativity community of practice. And what that means is it's a global coalition of educators, researchers, not-for-profit leaders, foundation leaders, practitioners, anybody who essentially has an interest in amplifying creativity in education. So I really encourage all of you who have a passion for this topic to join us. We have a new LinkedIn group. That's the best way to search for us and to find us. And I think maybe, Mark, I just saw you put a link in the chat. We'd love to have as many people around the world joining us in this community of practice, really with a view to amplifying the role of creativity in education, finding ways to share best practices, share insights, learn from each other, and ultimately influence policymakers in education institutions all around the world so that we can really amplify creativity in education and use creativity for positive social impact all around the world. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening to this if you're listening to it on a recording. And thank you to Juan and Mark for this wonderful competition. We're excited to see and read about all of the ideas that are going to come through the competition. And by the way, those ideas are going to provide amazing fodder for the creativity community of practice. So whether you win the competition or not with your ideas, we are going to be reviewing those ideas. We're going to be taking that as input in the work that we do with the community of practice. So back to you, Mark. Hopefully that's a good overview.
That's fantastic. That's definitely fantastic. And if anybody has any questions for Alison, please do put them in the chat group, and I'm sure Alison do her best to respond. I'll also ask our team, Adelina, if we can put up the links to obviously to our platform, to the website. And from there, today we want to have an opportunity to drive some intentionality to the idea of uploading ideas. So today's session around inspiration and ideation is really going to be an active process for us all. I'd like to invite Juan just to share a little bit about the scope of the project. Why did you create Ideas World Cup? And what do the participants today need to know about the phases moving forward? Over to you, Juan.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mark, and welcome everybody. If you are seeing this live, hello, and we will have a great workshop here. If you are seeing this in a recording, then there is an amazing conversation after this introduction, so you want to see this conversation. So Ideas World Cup is the only competition in the world that connects everyone in the world for good. And what is that good? Every year we choose a theme. This year is how might we inspire creativity in education, and everywhere in the world ideate in order to win which is the most creative city, and also who will earn 5,000 euros that we are going to provide in training and mentoring for the best ideas, and also the possibility of a scholarship with the Watson Institute. So you get into the finals of that competition as well by participating. And I think that everybody has ideas around education. We all are invested in education. We all want, to improve education for better. So I thank you so much for attending this workshop. And today it will be about being inspired. So I hope that after this workshop, you not only upload your ideas, 1, 2, 3, 30 ideas into the platform, because you can upload as many ideas as you want, but also you inspire others to share their ideas as well, because this competition will live on with the creativity community of practice that will use all these ideas to improve education worldwide. That is our main goal this year. And I think that we all want education to get better, more creative everywhere. So I'm very happy to invite you. And during this workshop, if you get inspired during the conversation, you can upload your idea today. And if you are inspired after the workshop, you can upload the idea also. It's a very simple process. I will put the link in the chat so you can access directly to add your ideas. And I hope to see all of your ideas. The competition allows for the input of ideas until the 9th of May. So remember to upload your ideas until the 9th of May. And this is the second of our 6 series of webinars. We will have more every Friday until the end of the competition, where we announce the winners. So we encourage you to keep coming to these webinars, because we have an awesome lineup of speakers. So thank you so much to BIC for sponsoring Ideas World Cup in its 6th years. Last year we have 1,500 ideas. The year before that we had 20,000. The requisites were easier, and this year we hope that we overpass the previous years. So I hope that everyone here not only adds their ideas, but invite others to participate in this wonderful event. So thank you so much, Mark, and now off to you.
Thank you very much, Juan. And again, it's brilliant to kind of have both you and Alison here as we're birthing what we hope to be an expanding community of people that are interested and fascinated around how do we prepare our future, our youth, and the future of this planet in regards to the right type of thinking skills for what's to come, which is the unknown, right? A lot of ambiguity in terms of the future around the planet. But what we probably all share is a passion and a belief that education is a huge part to the key of figuring out how to have a flourishing future. So on that note, I wanted to just quickly, as I bring Kulem into the creative conversation today, just quickly throw up and share a short quote from the late, great Sir Ken Robinson, who said, "Imagination is the source of every form of human achievement." And it's the one thing that he believes we are systematically jeopardizing in the way we educate our children and ourselves. And now back to Kulem, knowing that, and I forgot to mention a few other things in her brilliant bio here, but Kulem, I know that you sat on the board of the Creativity Education Foundation, which is actually the oldest innovation and creativity organization in the world. And of course, the work really was about a mandate to develop the next generation of creative leaders. And also knowing your work in the corporate world and having collaborated with you for many years, I've seen how you can set a room afire with inspiration. So I just wanted to share the mic with you and invite you to share a little bit about what drives you towards a career in releasing the creative potential of those that are blessed to work with you. Welcome, Kulem. Thanks again for joining us.
And thanks to you, Mark, for the invitation. I do want to mention that part of my profile is that I am totally inspired by you and your work. And I am feeling inspired today to have this conversation with you about inspiration and ideation, because I think it's what connects me and you and the work that we have done together. If I were to count, it would be 11 years. And you were greatly used by God in my life to inspire me to unleash this creative potential in my life, and to have the confidence inside of me that I too can inspire and bring the same energy and inspiration to others that I saw you bring in a session in 2011 in a creativity conference. So as you have heard from what I've just said, I am inspired by people who, live their lives every day to make a difference in other people's lives. And yesterday I had a coaching session with one of my corporate clients, and she had said something quite deep. She said, when I asked you to coach me because when I leave this organization, I want to leave it in a better shape, and I want to leave it in a different shape. And if I left it, and I don't want it to be about me, if I left it and I had a bunch of people whose lives are better, whose lives are inspired, who are exerting all of their potential and making a difference, I will be in such a happy space, and I would have fulfilled what I'm called to do. I don't want it to be about me. My life is not about me, but it's about the difference that I make in other people. And I am deeply inspired by people who daily live their lives to make that level of difference. And I think that's what shifted me from being a software developer to being an educator and a speaker, facilitator that I am today. And I live every single day of my life to just make a tiny little bit of a difference in other people's lives and inspire.
That's fantastic, Kulem. And in regards to your drive, not only as a professional, but as a mother, I remember a few years ago that you just were telling me that you'd been having conversations with other mothers in the Johannesburg region. And there was a deep calling then, a frustration even at the current education that was accessible for your children. Can you speak a little bit about your own personal drive to want to transform education?
Yes. So the conversation, Mark, is long and deep, and I won't probably go to that extent of being deep about it, because I want to give people a chance to think about the impact of a teacher who has made the biggest difference in their lives. In South Africa, here where I now live, I was not born here. I was born in Lesotho. I lived in Lesotho and I moved here 17 years back. There was a terrible legacy of the apartheid era that literally introduced a Bantu education system that would subject, many people of color to an education system that says you don't know how to think for yourself, right? And take this content, push it down your throat, memorize it, spit it right back, and that's how we judge how intelligent you are. And also, people just didn't have access to good quality education throughout the continent here in Africa. And so we received that type of education that says your memorization and your ability to recall what you have been taught determines if you go to the next grade, rather than the ability to think, to create, to problem solve. There's just such a richness of intelligence and innovation in this continent beyond human understanding that the education system never acknowledged and never embraced, and we never built that creative confidence in us as young people. So now you grow up in this system, you memorize, succeed and think you are the brightest person through memorization, and then you get to your master's level, PhD level, and you realize that the world is looking for thinkers, for problem solvers, for people who can imagine, but not only imagine, but also have the ability to come back with an idea and crystallize it and test it and make it happen. And this is in our DNA as humanity. I want to believe we are all born creative. Our founder in the Creative Education Foundation, Sid Pans, once said, we shouldn't just default to a future that gets created for us. We should be able to want to create our future. And it takes us claiming back that confidence, having the confidence that we too are creators, we too are thinkers, we too are problem solvers, and be given tools to do exactly that. I said my answer will be long, and I cannot finish that answer without mentioning this T-shirt that I'm wearing with a map of Africa. This is the logo for Future Africa, which is one of the projects I had the privilege of being a part of for about 8 years now through inclusive innovation. And we take top scientists in the continent through a program to rebuild that very confidence that we are thinkers and we can create and we can solve African problems. And you'll be amazed at what just these tools of ideation, creativity, empower people to make such a difference. This morning I was reading one of the documents from one of our fellows who said her work has impacted 50 million children throughout the continent of Africa. So that's inspiration right there, to know that you can inspire someone whose work can impact lives of young children in Africa, 50 million lives. That's amazing.
Phenomenal. And it makes me think, Kulem, around this idea of an enabling ecosystem, whatever that means. Yeah, what does an inside an enabling ecosystem, which is, I hope, what we're trying to do together here with Ideas World Cup and the creativity community of practice, is to find the right conditions for the imagination to flourish. And inside ecosystems, often, as you shared with your opening remarks, it can be one person that brings that inspiration to you. So what we thought we could do now is just invite the audience to send them out into a short breakout room for just under 10 minutes. You'll be in teams of 3, and we're going to invite you to explore this question around how do we turn inspiration to fuel ideas towards action? And inside that, who might have been that person that gave you the inspiration to either follow your creative path or to step up in a way in life that wasn't there before that piece of inspiration? So let's look at the building blocks today of inspiration towards ideation. This conversation is about the inspiration part, so that when we come back, we'll hopefully hear a few voices of who was that person that inspired you the most, so we can tap into the feeling of that. And then we'll continue the conversation with Dr. Kulem before another breakout, and then maybe an idea and an opportunity for you to upload some of your brilliant ideas. So I'm ready to send you out to the open, to the rooms now. And I notice many of you are screens off. It's up to you, but I did say in the chat, this will be an interactive workshop. For those that joined us last time, it was a webinar. We know it's different. So as we break you out into the rooms, feel free to introduce yourself, share where you're from, and have a 2-minute conversation around who was that person that inspired you most. And we'll see you back in about 8 minutes. Okay, thumbs up, ready to go? Oh, fantastic. We get to see a few more faces this time. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, everybody, for coming back with smiles. It's always a good fueling feeling. And on the topic of fuel, we'd love to open up the floor, maybe have a couple of short voices, about 60 to 90 seconds each, to share that short story of who inspired you. How did it feel? What did you do with that inspiration? Maybe I can open the floor. Anybody care to kick us off?
Well, Mark, just to get things moving, I'll say something.
Thank you, Michael. Welcome.
Also, because I had a crash, so I only got into the group like at the last second. It was a great question. Thanks, Kulem, for the question. What it made me think of is I was racking my brain to think of an answer, and I realized my answer is actually like all the people that I've interacted with are inspiring to me when they get a breakthrough, when they see something for themselves, whether it's from something I'm doing with them or just watching them, coming across them. So for me, it's not so much like some figure that taught me something, but more like watching people re-embrace their creative thinking that they might have, not been embracing. That's what inspires me all the time to keep excited about things.
Thank you for that, Michael. And to put a bit of context, I recently met Michael as we were co-presenting at the same conference that I met Kulem at many years ago, the South African International Creativity Conference. And maybe to frame a bit of more context around Michael, as an innovator and a trainer and a coach of creativity, I feel that perhaps your ability to zoom out the awareness of how to find inspiration in various different conversations is part of the creativity muscle, dare I say, that you've probably developed as somebody that's in that field. Be lovely to hear. Oh, brilliant. We've got a hand, so I don't need to beg. Thank you. Feel free. I can't see your name, I'm afraid. Why is
Hi, I'm Shelley Taylor. I'm from Chicago, Illinois in the United States. And I wanted to bring forward, and when I grew up in the United States in the 70s, there was a record that I was given, which was the Free to Be You and Me record by Marlo Thomas, if anyone knows that. But if you don't, I will tell you that every song basically said, you can be anything you want. And really sort of started poking at traditional value sets of what people can be and who they can be. For me, because as a young girl, often you didn't hear that when you went to school. I will tell you that record played in my head consistently over and over and over again, so that when I was kind of faced with things, I just said, yeah, but I have this, I have this other thing in my head, which I think is really important to keep in mind, that absolutely influenced my ability to stay creative in uncreative spaces. And I just think that that's an important thing in a place to kind of bring forward in this community.
Beautiful, Shelley. Thank you so much for your share. And of course, as a man who uses music a lot in my own work with creativity, I fully understand the power of rhythm, music, and affirmations in song. Those earworms, they get stuck. And how fortunate are you to have got such a positive, generative earworm stuck in your young mind? That's brilliant share. Thank you. So I'd like to bring the conversation back to you, Kulem, if I may. And invite you to have a moment to share a short story around your own kind of inspiration towards exploring lots of different potential paths forward. I know you've got a very dynamic career. Could you care to share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I love sharing the story. My moment of inspiration came in the most unexpected place. I didn't go to school to look for inspiration. I didn't do an MBA 13 years back. Or was it 15 years back now, I think, to looking for inspiration. But in one moment, when I decided, okay, it's time to choose a topic for your thesis, and we're taking it right back to the conversation on education and creativity. And when it was that moment to choose a topic for my thesis, I was in IT, I was at a business school. The default thesis that you choose to do if you want to go up on the corporate ladder is business and IT strategy alignment, right? And that's exactly what I defaulted to, like everybody else. First level thinking keeps you right there, right? It keeps you in that space of familiarity, that space that makes sense. They like to say common sense is not so common. Yes, it is common. You're in IT, you're in a business school. Your thesis is going to have to do something with business and IT, especially if it was a very big topic at the time. So now I approach my supervisor, inspirational teacher, and who has inspired me to supervise me. And he sits me down over breakfast and says, where do you get that topic from? What are you even saying? You don't even know what you are saying. You know what, Kulem? What are you curious about in life? What is one of your biggest questions about life that you want to answer through your studies? And I paused and almost in tears in that moment. And I remember as if it happened yesterday, it was in 2008. That's how far back it was. I said, I want to research about how I can bring more of me to work and live an inspired life every single day and get out of my comfort zone and do more and inspire others with my everyday life rather than sitting behind a computer and doing programming. And in that moment, he said, that's your topic for your thesis. And I'm like, will they accept that as an MBA topic? And he said, yes, that's your topic. And that moment was so critical because it created a whole new trajectory for my life. And it came from this inspiring teacher who gave me an opportunity to step out of familiarity, out of, common sense into what more can I do? What fresh new ideas can I think of? So I started to explore, come up with as many ideas as possible of what topics can I explore in a space of Kulem wanting to live her life fully every single day and live an inspired life. Whether it sits in HR, psychology, creativity, design thing, it doesn't matter, innovation, whatever you call it, this is my topic, and this created a sense of possibility for me. This is why today the connection with ideation and inspiration and ideation and imagination is so deep, because I don't believe we can fully tap into that landscape of possibility and draw from it if we're not inspired at a very deep level. And that's the moment that has totally created this new trajectory in my life. Does that answer your question, Mark?
Brilliantly. You're amazing. Thanks again for that. And thanks for being succinct. With an awareness of time, we really want to create an opportunity for you to hopefully find some inspiration in the discussions we've had today, and then bring the focus to why are we here? We're here with the grand theme, how do we inspire creativity in education? As hopefully all of you know by now, we have 5 sub-themes. That is the environmental protection, it's creating creative cultures, it's the future of learning, it's the network effect, and it's diversity, equity, and inclusion. And all of those 5 sub-themes are available by clicking the Discover link on the homepage of IWC, or looking at the link that Adelina kindly shared in the chat that takes you straight to the page on Creative OS, the platform where we capture the ideas, where you have an opportunity to upload some. And so what we want to do today is leave you inspired and encouraged and practiced at uploading ideas. And we're going to invite you now to go back into those breakout groups. We'll have another 8 minutes together. Looking at the time, that's not going to be practical. It's going to be 4 minutes together, so we can finish on time, because we have the Spanish event just after. So we have to be tight on time. And I want you in those 4 minutes just to practice the idea of ideation in a small group. And if you can each leave, ideally, with having tried to put an idea out there, let's take the word try out. Put an idea out there and feel bold in doing that, because divergence is held and supported by deferring judgment. So let's give that a go. Hopefully you've at least chewed on those themes. If not, look at the link, look at the sub-challenges, ask yourself one of those questions, come up with an idea, share it, and we'll come back in 4 minutes for a very sharp and prompt closing. And I thank everybody for your flexibility and agility. We'll send you out now. Welcome back, everybody. May I just take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for your time today. I know it's been a kind of fast and furious short session today on ideas and inspiration. I'd like to give Dr. Kulem Hebe an extra big thanks for joining us and sharing a little bit of your own inspiration in your career. We wish you all the best with your ongoing work. And I'd like to invite Juan just to give us some closing out, just with awareness of time. Over to you, Juan.
Thank you so much, Mark, and thank you everybody for attending today. I hope that you at least make one interesting connection among the people that you had a conversation and had one good idea or interesting, inspired moment during this webinar. That's all we need to make this time valuable for you, because how hard it is to make valuable connections. And one of the things that we wanted to do was to break out from the webinar, just here, don't participate, formats. And this will be the same format for the upcoming events. So we invite you to participate and to invite others to join this movement to change education. Maybe your ideas are the ones that are going to make the difference. So please upload them into the platform, and thank you so much for participating in Ideas World Cup. And if you know Spanish, we have a Spanish event right next after this, so you can stay and practice some Spanish with us. So I will close this room, you can join the Spanish one, and I hope to see you in the next workshop. Thank you so much, everybody, and see you soon.